Hello, everybody. This is Christopher Phillips, founder of Socrates Cafe. This is what I would call the Sinz and Esinz Cafe. And there's this amazing story behind what we're getting ready to exchange about. And it all starts with a quote from Rumi. We must, and it's on Paul Martin's website, and it goes, "We must become ignorant of what we have been taught and be instead bewildered." And there's much more to it. But Paul, you posted that, and then you got a response from some scribe named Sinz, who said, "The philosophy of men is flawed by the tangibles of weakness. To say to do is profound in corruptness. I'm assured in confusion, sanctified in the truth of derision, and I quantify my existence rather than qualify my subsistence." And it's signed cryptically, Sinz. What did you think?
I had no idea. I just thought, okay, I like that. I like that. But my initial thought was, it was a quote, another quotation from some other philosopher, poet, what have you. And finally, after looking around for a little bit, I called my brother and said, "Who is this Sinz character?" And he said, "It's me." and so then I decided to become Esinz. I think I pretty quickly wrote a response.
You wrote, "The truth of quantification is buried in the minutiae of qualities beyond our imaginations. To seek is to be."
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty damn good. Jim, what did you think about that?
Well, I thought it was interesting because it gave a I was interested in the quote that he had on his page. It sounded like something that didn't apply to him and to Paul, and so I answered it, and then he liked what I answered, and then so it opened up a writing fiasco that we were still doing, and it's a good thing, just kind of came about, and so it's a good thing.
So and totally unexpected, totally serendipitous. Y'all been doing this now on and off. Sometimes you tap really into these rich veins and you'll come out with a flourish of things. Then there'll be some lulls. Sometimes one of you is more inspired than another, but now it's been going on for just about 5 years.
Yeah.
I don't think it's quite 5 years. I think it's, I don't know. Jim and I were talking about the other day. You're saying the first one was in when, Jim?
It's like October 2016 is
August
what I've got.
19th, 2016.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the first.
All right. Coming up on 5 years. Okay, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, the beauty is that Paul is a genius, and
in my own mind.
how I know he's a genius. You know how I know he's a genius?
How?
Because he tells me he's a genius.
Yeah.
He's told me forever, "I'm a genius. I'm a fucking genius. I'm gonna fucking collapse your head if you don't realize that I'm a fucking genius." Oh, oops. What's my language? Sorry.
Yeah. I'm watching it. Yeah, I'm watching it.
That's why Jim. That's why Jim didn't think that the bewildered poem applied to me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of weird. I was going, "Well, you don't think like that. That sounds kind of a liberal thing, or not liberal thing, but kind of a whatever certain thinking." Then it's happened that I wrote that thing, and he liked it, and so we wrote more, and it kind of opened up a communication, about things, which is kind of what went down. So it increased my IQ by I think my IQ is like 70 or something like that, but I think it's up to 90 now. I'm not quite Mensa, but I'm moving up, right, Paul?
Yeah, you're moving up. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
you know.
Yeah, I have to admit, ever since we started writing this stuff, I've been blown away by the stuff that you write and the words that you use and stuff like that. So
I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Just say, it's all that money Dad and Mom gave me to go to college that I spent on other stuff. Maybe I actually read something, you know.
Well, yeah, you must have actually read something. You did graduate. You
It-
graduated from UT with a degree in history, so you must have read something.
Hey,
Yeah.
Jim, you posted one in Latin.
I did.
You did. In 2017.
Yeah, it was just the end of it was in Latin, right?
On wisdom.
Yeah, at the end it says a little Latin, has a little Latin thing. I don't really know. I can't remember what it means.
Yeah, I actually have to put it through Google Translate.
I think I shortened it down and it lost some of its meaning when I edited it.
But here's the thing. You guys are two brothers. Paul is the CIO of Martin Capital Advisors, martincapital.com, and I am an investment advisor for him. He's beloved philanthropist. He's a Renaissance everything. He has patents. He's a very cool and successful painter. And Jim, you're a really, really, really good singer-songwriter of the country music genre based in Nashville. And this seems to somehow have created not just a simpatico, but there's a real energy and connection between you two that I'm just fascinated to be along for the ride.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's we're pretty much kind of two different guys growing up, and yeah. Okay, see ya. Okay, yes, ma'am. But you know, sometimes things come together that just as a result of wear and tear, just wearing it down. So somehow, and it became a thing where opportunity came out of the blue sky, and the writing thing is real good for communication, so especially between me and Paul, because we're both philosophers, of at least we're philosophers, and gives us an outlet to speak, you know, and then it transfers into, even when we're communicating, just talking, it works better too, because we can congratulate each other on different topics or whatever, discuss them, and see the absurdity of most of the things we're talking about anyway. So it works out good.
Paul, do you consider yourself a philosopher?
Well, sure. I mean, by definition, it means a lover of philosophy, and I love philosophy. Therefore, I must be a philosopher. So
it's interesting. And you still do actually have had a bunch of us snookered. I mean, when I first saw those two quotes, those two aphorisms, I thought it was pre-Socratic. I thought, how have I not heard of these? I mean, I have Greek citizenship. I was brought up on this stuff by my grandmother. She foisted it on me, and I actually started researching it. And to this day, every once in a while, you guys will post something on Facebook, and somebody will go, I haven't heard of these. Who are they? And they'll research it.
yeah,
So that's the highest compliment you can get.
yeah.
Well, that's why we got to we'll just keep writing it. You know, it's where it ends up. It ends up. But there's I'm trying to put the book together thing. You know, which is obviously I'm half-assing that, which is what I do most things anyway. But I'll get there. It may be a while, but anyway, yeah, people like they read it and they like it. The thing is, you can pick out different ones. You know, it's not like you got to read the whole thing and go, you know, you can go and find a saying and read it, you know. read another one.
But you really, I mean, I researched this. I spent time researching, trying to figure out how it is that I missed these two guys. Paul, what did you think? And you thought you were a little snookered too. You thought, well,
Oh yeah, no, I was snookered by Jim's first one, the first Sinz, and it's kind of funny though the way this works. It's like these things just come into our heads just all the time. Like right now, I'm thinking of the beginning of one, and I could write it in 3 or 4 minutes. It starts off with I want to start off with a voracious something, and anyway, and that's how it goes. It just comes into my head, just like the first few words, and then I just kind of build upon it from there. And I don't even know where that came from just now. A voracious. I don't know what I thought of that.
A voracious appetite for fear. He stepped into the parlor
And
cast
by the slurping, not slurping, what is it? Cat. I'm trying to think. A lot of times I have to look up words. I mean, I'll think of a word, and then I'll think, is that a real word? I need to go to the dictionary and make sure this is a real word.
Sometimes though you come up with your own stuff, which is really cool.
Yeah, I've made up some words too. That's true.
Yeah. You guys have
I like to know though. I like to know though when I'm making up a word. So I do spend a lot of time going to the dictionary. It is kind of funny how all these words, come into my head that I'm not even sure what they mean. And I have to look them up. Like literally almost every essence that I write, there's 1 or 2 words that I literally have to look up because I'm not quite sure. And I don't even know where they come from, how they come into my head. It's kind of weird. So
you both tend to, not always, but most of these tend to come late at night. Is that fair to say?
No, they come all the time.
Really?
Come on, yeah. Not any certain time.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, we're just all the time. We got things to think about, words to deal with. I write them whenever. But I've been writing. I usually write different. I write them longer. I mean, I know I'll write them and then set it down and come back to it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the first one. The one I wrote, the first one was like train of thought. And then a lot of them were. But lately, I've been writing 2 or 3 days or whatever. Come back to it.
You tell stories, Jim. A lot of yours tell stories.
Yeah. Those stories. That's what they are. Just stories about things. And they usually what I do is try to have a hook at the end. Something that hooks it all together.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not planned ahead. In other words, the hook doesn't start the song, the saying, the phrase, the paragraph. It comes at the end from building the literature.
Mm-hmm.
Then come up with to tie it together. Sometimes I'm good at it. Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes they're pretty good, and then sometimes they're just kind of later. I was talking to this girl the other night. She goes, "Yeah, this one here doesn't have a real good hook at the end of it." And I go, "Well, that's good. They don't all have to have a real good hook at the end."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But some of them have like a musical cadence to it that you do.
It's a musical case. It's Shakespeare. It's
Shakespearean.
Paul,
you're more Nietzschean, aphoristic.
Yeah, I'm more to the point.
yeah. He's more to the point, which is good. That's what makes it interesting. They're not the same. They complement each other. They feed off each other. Like I'll read his, and then I'll write something, but I won't concentrate.
Let me read 2 of the shorter ones. All right. So Paul, this one is really something. Okay. And then Sinz comes right back with one that's really something. Paul, Esinz writes, and so I know it now, it's Paul, but I was totally hoodwinked at first. Suns set and suns rise. We live by light and darkness. Why then are we surprised by the balance of good and evil? Suffer evil and endure. And if you survive, you will soon be enveloped by the good. Luxuriating in success and affirmation, then prepare for damnation.
Yeah, that's good.
That's pretty damn good. And then, well, wait. And then Sinz in one of his moments of aphoristic inspiration writes, in desperation, I move through the mist of moments cast aside by reflections of some bittersweet calamity that pales now as the true darkness has fallen across the land of the giants. So that was the one that, I mean, I thought these two were like, they're different, and yet somehow there's a, I don't know, there's just this really amazing connection. If I hadn't known it was you two, I would read these still with great enjoyment and think.
Excellent. Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Jim wrote that one first, and then Paul wrote the one I read after it. But it's really interesting that I would say Jim has a little bit more Shakespearean, and Paul has what I would call a more decidedly Nietzschean a bent to it, but yet it's uniquely the Martin Brothers. That's all I can say.
Yeah. We started a cleaning business too. The Martin Brothers.
Oh, really?
No.
Every garment you pick up, you get a quotation with it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the Martin Brothers. Sounds like we should have one of those big white trucks with Martin Brothers written on it in red. You know, and we do laundry or whatever, you know, cleaning guys. That's what it sounds like.
Just a couple months ago, somebody went on the Facebook page where you have some of these posted, and they were like, or maybe it was on one of your personal Facebook pages, and they said, I haven't heard of these guys. Who are they?
This is my Facebook page.
Yeah. So it's like
I don't know. I just post something. Yeah. No, it's kind of funny. It's sort of funny sometimes to do that. And you know what's funny too is, and I'm sure that's true for Jim too. Like that one that you sent me a text message on, Chris, the other day. I didn't even remember I wrote that. I really liked it. I mean, I was looking at it as like, man, that's good. Did I write that?
It was good.
I
didn't know if you were playing with me or not.
Yeah, what is it? Oh yeah, it's the one you just read.
And then there was another that you wrote on November 6, 2016. You didn't reply to me on that one. Have you dreamed of a world without enmity? Then look into your own heart and accept the challenge to overcome bitterness with transcendence. Only then will it become possible for the lamb to lie down with the lion.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah.
But see, here's the other thing I like about you guys. You write these stories that seem to show that you have a lot of worldly experience, and yet they're totally free of resentment, which is quite something.
You know, the thing about philosophy, what I was talking to a friend of mine the other night, you know, philosophy, I write things in philosophy. It's about thinking about things. It's not about telling anybody how they ought to be or what they ought to do, or, you know, what we're not here to, I was talking to Paul about that. We're not here to try and change the world. We're just putting stuff out there. What do we think about this? You know what I mean? So yeah, you don't get that personal thing of some kind of vendetta, or you're trying to tell people what they ought to do and why they ought to do it and who did this wrong and whatever. I don't give a shit. You know, just thoughts of what could be, or what could not be. Who knows?
Well, it's also, you know, an open-mindedness, I think.
Yeah.
Is the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that you're open to various perspectives.
Where do you both get that quality from? Because you both have it.
Well, I think our family. I mean, our mother was a writer. My dad was a writer also. My grandparents were writers. I mean,
Wow, I didn't know that about your grandparents.
Yeah. And so I don't know if I told you, Jim, but Laurie brought me, actually not Laurie, Aunt Jeanette, when she came down here, brought me a poem that was written by her grandfather.
Oh, okay.
That I didn't even know anything about. I don't know what I did with it.
Paul, who are these people? Who's Laurie?
Huh?
Who's Laurie?
What?
Laurie.
Laurie's my sister.
Oh, okay.
And she had come down last year with my Aunt Jeanette, who lives in Oklahoma, had come down to see Laurie and to see me. And anyway, she brought some stuff, and one of them was this poem written by my grandfather that's framed, and I don't know what I did with it, but anyway, yeah, no, our mother was well, and in fact, I was going through some papers the other day, and I think I've showed you, Chris, some of the things my mother wrote that are very Sinz and Esinz.
I posted one.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. It's like, what the hell? She's writing this stuff way before we started doing this.
Isn't that something? So you come by it honestly, to put it mildly.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, it's honest. Yeah. So
No, I posted the one of your mom, Paul, and
Yeah.
Jim, that the one you sent
Well,
me.
that's just the
I
one
thought
of
it
them.
just fit in seamlessly.
Yeah, she has a bunch of other ones, and yeah, it's kind of funny. I had no idea until I was going through these old papers that I found, and my God, this is like Sinz and Esinz. What's going on here?
Yep.
Wow. Well, you've got quite a body of work now.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. I'm trying to put it in a book form, and I'm working on it. I've got things going on it, but I'm editing it. I'm not changing things. I'm just trying to correct the words that I spelled wrong. Which there's a lot of them.
Right.
But a lot of material there. There's a lot of material, and it's kind of cool to go back and read through it. From 2 or 3 years ago, and go, wow, that's cool. Forgot about that, or not, didn't even think about it, whatever. But
No, you both tapped into something that I think is, I actually, when I sent out my latest email announcing my Cafe for Shakespeare, I let people know about the site. Because it's something you can just sort of dip into and enjoy, and you can go to almost any page or any of your stories or aphorisms and just enjoy them. Take your time.
Yeah.
Well, the main thing about it is, like me and Paul discussed, actually it doesn't have anything to do with books or other people. It has to do with the fact that it's a good communication between me and Paul, that we can do this for forever and communicate this way, and it's solid, real communication, and it's positive, as compared to, we don't have to sit around and hang out someplace or just whatever. We just write stuff, and it's a good relation, good friendship, as compared to, and so that's really all it is when it comes down to it. But if it parlays into being someone else's cup of tea, we're glad about that, but we're not really searching for that necessarily, just to keep writing, because it's a damn good communication thing, good thing to be doing between two brothers, which is, we're supposed to all be brothers in this world, or whatever. I think somebody said that one time. So you get down to the nitty gritty, you got two brothers writing stuff that's quality stuff between them. At least, the community, it's based on logic and knowledge of writing, and care about the literature. I care about writing because it's important, not just the work.
Well, I'd throw in there, Jim. It's fun. I mean, you have fun, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that to me is one of the biggest things. It's just fun to write this stuff. Just be sitting around. It's like this idea comes into your head. The first couple of words, like a voracious. I'll probably write something after we finish this.
I'm actually going to wait for that.
Yeah, and it's just fun to just play around with it, and it's art. It's like when I paint, it's fun to paint. I mean, and you debate how good the artwork is at the end of when you finish, but just the doing it is fun, and hopefully at least some of it turns out to be pretty good.
Yeah,
Can I tell you something? I've actually found some of them helpful for me, whatever I happen to be going through at any given moment. I'll ponder some of the things that you write. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. And that's the idea. If it does that, we're not, my intention is not to make someone ponder, but it's make me ponder, you know. And then if it derives into someone else's going, hey, I dig that too, then I'm good. But the main thing is we have two guys who can communicate back and forth with each other, writing, skill level writing. I mean, you know, we have somewhat of a vague idea of the English language, and so it's an art form, but it's like painting or anything like that. You know, the words count, the way they're put into the sentence, and then you know, the mechanics of it and the story itself are cool, because you got these tools, these words to work with that you can move around and put in different places. It's like a puzzle. So keeps me occupied, keeps me off the street, you know what I mean, for a few minutes.
Paul,
Yeah, it's fun. That's my main thing. I was just thinking, like, even now, like voracious, the first thing that comes into my head is it a space voracious, or is it a voracious, meaning not
Avaricious? Yeah, I like avaricious.
voracious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens is I initially have the idea, and then I have to think about it, and you know, the other word possibilities and the relationships.
He was voracious in his avaricious. He was voracious in his avaricious habit to something like that. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah. No, it's well, and that's what happens. That's what's so funny about all these words. Again, it's like, I think about this stuff, and I have to look things up all the time, because it's like, where did this come from? What does this mean? You know? And usually, fortunately, usually the words actually, you know, are what I thought they were. You know, sometimes they're not quite, but usually they are what I thought they were.
Oh yeah, I had the one I wrote last night, or put in. There's a couple of words there are a lot of words in there that are that I used, and then I looked them up later, you know, after I wrote it, and they were dead on, or they work. You know what I mean?
That's great.
But I use them. What I see, what me and Paul do, or try to do, is use words that are a little more intricate than the normal word, without getting too tidy about it, you know, hoity-toity about it.
Right.
But it also makes it flow, you know. And yeah, I'll look up the word after I've done it and go, yeah, that makes sense, you know. Even though it probably doesn't, but it ends up making sense, you know. So so it's a kick, you know. Then and you know, you can always write stuff, and then who knows?
It's funny. I don't even know where they come from. It's like, just now I was just thinking interregnum. I don't know why that just came into my head.
Interregnum.
So I got to write something with that. You know, it's like it's.
I'm gonna hold you to it, Paul.
Yeah, it's very strange. They just come out of nowhere, you know.
Yeah, well, that's the idea. They're in your head, and you got an outlet to put them out to. See, you know, one thing about us, we were talking about your grandparents and our grandparents and mother, and you know, they wrote stuff, and nobody heard it. You know, anybody listened to it, except maybe they're, you know, who knows, the dog. But yeah, we've got the opportunity with the way things are to have people hear what we're doing. So it's got to be frustrating. If you think about all the writers over the years all over the world, they just write in their rooms, in their place, and they live their lives, and then they go out and you see their manuscripts later on, and you go, wow, that was pretty good. You know, but we've got the opportunity through what we're doing to have the stuff, to put our stuff out, you know, which is
the limit. There's so many ways now.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and you know, when my mother was writing, or when my grandmother was writing, they didn't have where to go.
You could actually come out with a series of volumes of this.
Oh yeah,
it's a great and there's so many ways you can compile it, even by theme or whatever you care to do.
Oh yeah,
sure.
No, this is something we'll do for the rest of our lives, for sure. There's no stopping it.
I'm glad. No, it's I think I'm personally very glad and honored to be part of it. and to just be able to immerse myself in. I spent several hours posting some of your things last night, and I enjoyed it so much. I forget about time, and I'm just reading it. You know. Now, Jim, you said something about how y'all communicate by this way, but you two haven't always communicated so well, can we say?
Oh well, yeah. I mean, it's two different. It's the old two different brothers, doing different things. Different. Just the way it is. 2 years apart. It happens that way. And but what and I would say a lot of families are like that. A lot of people are like that. That's what happens.
Absolutely.
But we had we were given the opportunity through some force out there that runs things, whoever it is, put this in our past to bring, like I say, two brothers together to communicate, who had been somewhat separated through different values, different ideas, to learn from each other some valuable things, and that's that comes down to the whole idea of brothers. Everything about the religion or about things is brotherhood. And so you hit brotherhood right on the nail by taking two guys like us and putting us together, hiding stuff. It's an interesting philosophy in itself.
Right. No, I think it's wonderful that this particular brotherhood between you two also is something so universal and can be a model for me and lots of people.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, listen. No, it's clearly has brought you two together in ways that otherwise.
And it does exemplify how you can bring other people together, other brothers together. We're all brothers, supposedly, sisters, brothers, in the concept. How do you, people go, well, how do we have world peace? How do we bring everybody together? Well, I don't really give a shit about bringing everybody together, but say we did. You could look at what me and Paul are doing and go, that sure brings a modicum of peace, understanding between two brothers. Well, we're all brothers, maybe pursue it in a metaphorical way. Whoever doing,
I think it's very beautifully put. Paul, you have anything else to say?
Well, I was just saying, it's about communication, and I think that communication is important, not just between brothers, but between everyone. And we don't have to agree on everything. We just have to be willing to communicate and hear what the other person has to say. And sometimes we'll like it and sometimes we won't, but it's that willingness to open up your mind and, say what you have to say and hear what others have to say. I think is important, not just for brothers, but for everybody.
I use the term brothers as a metaphor for people in general.
Right. Yes.
That's we're all connected to supposedly what people think.
And we want to include sisters also.
That's what I meant. I mean, brothers, sisters, the whole thing. But
no, I know exactly what you're saying.
But I'm always up for discussions with people as long as they know that in the end, whatever's going down, I'm always right.
Yeah.
And
what's really neat though is that,
right too. So
no, but it's like to me, it's if you look at different points of human history, it's when there's been the utter breakdown of communication that we've reached some of our really low and darkest points. And you can see things sort of skewing towards that again. And then I come back to something really, call it what you want, something personal and intimate between you and Paul that's also, to me, speaks in universal terms. I don't want to sound corny. I don't want to say it gives me hope per se, but it does speak to alternative possibilities, alternative ways that we can, whether we're deliberately trying to be a model of something or not, it nonetheless just shows that, two people who didn't always communicate very well are using this as one way to help them maybe communicate better in other ways. And I think I don't think I'm reading too much into it, am I?
No, you're reading good. I always say it wasn't, even with me and Paul, it wasn't so much that he didn't communicate with me, or my communication with him was skewed. Now then I got into it's brought us to a level where it opens my mind up. My concern with anything is my well-being, as far as my emotional well-being. If I'm doing good, other people around me are doing good, right? I mean, so.
Well, I wish more people thought like that, but I
Well,
think there's
the
a
idea,
lot of truth
the
to
idea,
that.
the idea is that, way you get things done is you find a way to communicate what you think in the way that you can communicate it, and that's just what was put in front of me. With this was an opportunity by Paul to go, hey man, I like what you're doing there. Let's communicate. And I go, hell yeah, let's do it.
I love the serendipitous way that the whole thing, it wasn't some planned, it was just this spontaneous flourishing that continues to this day. And to me, the most timeless things are things like that you didn't plan for it to be. And then it just keeps emerging and going in different fractals and directions and stuff.
Yeah.
But it does come from some percentage of work. In other words, if you're going to be a writer or whatever, you'd have to, I mean, it would make sense that if you're going to write, like say what we're writing, then you might want to have some kind of idea of English language and care about it or whatever like that. So there's more to it than that, which is cool because it gives us a thing that we like, that we appreciate, and be able to use it,
Yes. What were you going to say?
I was just having some other thoughts. I think, the thing about any art form, whether it's painting or music or writing, is it's built in large part, the success of that artist is built upon their experience. And I think that Jim and I have both had, fair amount of experience in our lives, if you will, and also the training. I mean, I'm a painter. I have had some art training in New York when I was in New York City, but I certainly didn't get an art degree. But I still feel like, I've had enough experience since I've painted over the years, to at least create works that I like. And it's the same thing with this. I think for both Jim and I, when we write something, when we're finished, we like it. Whether somebody else likes it, you can debate. But at least when we finish it, we like it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with my paintings. When I finish a painting, everybody else may hate it, but I like it. So that's what it comes down to. And then hopefully sometimes I have a painting that I like and other people like also. And same thing with what we're doing with our writing now, is that hopefully a lot of it, other people like it as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You never know when something might touch a chord.
Well, yeah, it's an interesting thing. So it's a worthwhile thing. It's a positive thing. There's nothing negative about it. There's no, everything about it is dirt level, positive stuff.
Well, what I'd like to do, I'd like to wrap this one up, and I'd like to revisit this periodically and maybe drill down into some of the things that you've written. But I think I want this to be the introductory story to where people who have happened across the website will also see this version of the genesis of how Sinz and Esinz came to be. So, Jim, you're getting ready to play someplace, right? I'm
here at the place. I was playing. I'm gonna probably play some more. I'm gonna go in and hang out and play some more.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm outside the bar.
Paul, you're getting ready to send me something on interregnum and voracious.
Yeah.
Interregnum, I like that.
Yeah.
I do too. All right, guys. Thank you so much for this. And
okay, thanks, Chris.
All right.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it.
Lots of love.
See you, Paul.
See you. Adios.
Adios.
Adios.